Can you hear me now? That's way the hell up there. It is open mic night, and we have heard that a couple people want to get up here and say some stuff. And if you do, let me know now, and we'll get you up on here. There's a 5-minute time limit. So, is anybody here that wants to get up here now? My wife is telling me to get started. All right. So, first off, I'm beyond home. I did not expect it. I'm gonna say, I hope I can deliver on what y'all came to hear. Don't get this done. So, I saw a quote one time, and it said, "A comedian is no more than a commentator of life." It is no true thing. I'm not a joke writer. My brain is not that bad. I'm a storyteller, and I'm a storyteller on me. I love storytelling. My daddy, when I was 5 years old, introduced me to Jerry Cloud. There ain't never been a better storyteller walk the face there as far as I'm concerned, other than my nanny Jerry. That's Kelly's mom. And she is the best, I promise you. But see, I'm off my thing because I got off track. But hell, I said I can't remember. Y'all better say this now. Hell, I don't know. I was talking and I got off on another subject, lost track. You know that my brain works. But anyway, this is my brother Barry.
Turn it up.
Sit your ass up and be quiet. So before this started, I went outside, and me and the Lord have a pretty good relationship. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I went outside, the Lord and I talked for a few minutes, and I said, "Lord, please, give me what I need." I said, "Be mindful of my mouth." I said, "Can I do every right when it times?" And I said, "I'm gonna do the best I can." And he talked to me. He asked me back. What you doing? I didn't tell you anything. You can't hear? I'm sorry. And huh? How about the mic? Is that the problem? Everybody hear me now. Right back. I sound like Barry White. I can't say like Barry White. That won't even right. But anyway, he spoke back to me and he told me, he said, "Johnny, don't you worry about none of this. None of them are going to be the gatekeeper when you get here." I said, "Yes, sir." So y'all laugh because if you know me, you know me. If you don't, you get ready to get introduced to me. And I didn't know how I was going to do this at first, but I had somebody call, apparently somebody called Gus a couple weeks ago, wanted to know who Johnny Seamster was. And is he funny? Well, Gus said, "Hell, I don't know. He comes in here and eats. He seems to be pretty funny, but, that's all I can tell you." Well, I think, just to address that, I storytell, like I said, there's a lot of situations on me just because of my attitude. And how I look at things. I can fix ignorance, because I can educate that. But stupid, that's a whole other thing. And I get pissed off with that. And I lose my temper. And that's not a good thing. But anyway, so my mama did her best to try to raise a proper little boy. So I need y'all to keep that in mind. And she did. But at 3.5 years old, my mama entrusted my life to Eddie Jeter. Now, Eddie Jeter is my godfather. There's no one final fellow's ever walked the face of the earth, as far as I'm concerned. He actually married me in California. But not only did she really trust me, or trust Eddie with my life, but to the extent that I rode on a Honda motorcycle on the gas tank around the block. We'd go down to the Big T to meet Robbie. Or we might ride into Robbie's house on 138. And I'm on the gas tank of a motorcycle at 3.5 years old running 55 miles an hour. So I got an early need for speed in my life, you know. So, don't quit, man. But, you know, so go along about 4 years old. My best friend, who's sitting in this room somewhere, is one of my oldest friends. There he is. I didn't see him come up. My apologies. That's David Wells. We were born across the street from each other. He likes to say I'm 6 months older than him, but that is not the case. He is 6 months older than me. And, yes. And David has hair. I don't. All the things I've been through in my life, I just shaved it off. Hell with it. It started falling out. But anyway, so you kids. That ain't mine. I'm sorry. And I don't want to give it to Barry. So David left not too long after that, and I was the littlest boy around. And all of the boys around were way older than I was. And I learned a very extravagant vocabulary early in life. You know, and I just did. So when I was 4 years old, I was playing up the block with some older kids, and I had to stop for a minute, take a break. I had to go to the bathroom. So I walked in between the bush and the house like that. Then, all God's glory, I'm going. I look up, and there's this old woman in the window right there beating on the damn window. And I mean, I ain't like I can stop, you know. So what I do, I flipped her off. That's true, man. All these stories I'm gonna tell you all the truth. So I finished up. Before I could make the corner at that house where I could see my house was home but 2 houses, Mama was on the front porch. I said, oh dear. You know, so I go up there. Mama looked at me. She said, you know, do you know what that means? I must have shook my head. She said, well, whatever you think it means is really bad, and if you ever do it again, I'm gonna break it off and hand it back to you. No. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it was bad. And you know, and I did it on purpose. You know, that's just how it was. So I want to spring forward to go back. So about 25 years ago, no, not 25 years ago, on David Wells and Katrina's 25th wedding anniversary, they had a party. Is that not right? About 25 years ago. Yeah. So I come up and I'm talking to Mike Wells. That's David's cousin. So, you know, I'm talking to Mike. You know, typical Mike, you gotta know Mike, he's a jokester. So Mike, you know, was steady looking at me. I said, something wrong with Mike? He said, is that you? I said, what do you mean, is that me? He said, you ain't cussed in about 5 minutes. He said, Johnny, since you're 5 years old, you could cuss a galvanized off a guardrail. Now, I'm gonna tell you, at 5 years old, that's pretty tight, but at 5 years old, that was absolutely true. I promise you. So, fast forward a little bit, and what this is a story of my life, and the screw-ups I've been to my parents, but it sets the temperament of who I am, and who I am because of some of the things I went through to get there. So, I'm 6 years old. Yeah, I'm 6. First week of school, first grade. Riding the bus to school, scared to death, little kid. So, some older boys on that, they got to picking on me, but I had no witness. And I done had moved enough. You know, and I couldn't do nothing about it. You know, and one of them was up there towards the front of the bus. And I seen a rotten pay on the floor. And he went to come at me, and when he did, I picked that rotten pay up, and I slung that thing, and I missed him, and it went back to Billy Crafton's head and hit the damn window and just splattered. Billy didn't stop the bus, had to clean the window off, you know. So we went to the Blackstone Day School. Well, we had to go to Kingston Forest to change bus. So I get on the school bus at Blackstone Day School. I get over there. Lord have mercy. Does anybody in here not know Carl Swat? Okay. So, we get there. I'm on the bus, maybe halfway back, and I see Mr. Swaggington walking towards the bus. And I'm like, what we gonna do now? And I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. He got on the school bus. He looks away at me, that long ass face. He looked at me like it. His fingers look like that. I ain't never seen such fingers. It looked like family opera. You know. So I get off the school bus, scared, slapped to death. He looks at me. He said, "You know what you need?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I'm gonna tell you, here's the deal." He said, "If you ever do it again, I'm gonna tie your ass in a knot." I got the point. You know, I got the point. Don't do it again. That was the threshold. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm this big. This Swaggington's that big. I'm scared slapped to death. Well, as the years went on, Mr. Swaggington and I became the best of friends. And he is one of my favorite teachers of this day that had an impression on me that he probably would never even do. But anyway, so moved along. I turned 8 years old. At the time, we were living in Victoria. So Mom and Daddy moved to the country down there in Danny's Mall. We had estimated to build a house. And that was one of the reasons that we moved was I wasn't a bad kid. I was just mischievous as hell. You know, I could get in more trouble than any one person. You know, so Mom and Daddy thought it'd be a good idea to move me to the country and get everything. So we moved over to the country. Lord have mercy, I got all these places to go. You know, life is wonderful. You know, it really is. So we down there. I remember sitting at the table there one night. I was probably 9 years old. Yeah, Mama put something on the table, probably a little more broccoli. And she said, you know, everybody was finishing up, you know, she said, "You gonna eat?" I said, "I ain't eating." She said, "You gonna eat?" I said, "I ain't eating." She said, "You gonna sit right there till you eat?" I said, "I ain't eating." I mean, I said, "At the kitchen table till 10, 11 o'clock at night, I can promise you." And Mama had the gall to tell me, "Well, you'll eat it in the morning for breakfast." I didn't eat it for supper. What the hell makes you think I'm eating it at breakfast? And I know you ain't gonna let me be late for school. So that's out the question. And you're gonna cook something else tomorrow night, so I'll just start.